Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm not back. But kind of. Okay, so this is gonna be just a little video that I'm gonna make on my Cadillac because I'm doing it and my shop is to the point where I can work in it, but it's not done. So I'm not gonna take you on a full shop tour yet, but this will be kind of a little sneak peek, I guess you could say. So I'm only going to show you one bay because I have this awesome lift that I just paid way too much for, but it's been my most favorite purchase that I've made. Today we're going to work on my 56 Cadillac. You guys haven't seen a lot of videos in this car for about more than a year just because really all I do is I drive it, which is what the cars are supposed to, be for. Lately though, I have been noticing that the transmission leaks, and before it used to leak a little bit and now it leaks a lot. So we're gonna get this up in the air and we're gonna look at it. Here is the gasket that I have, and hopefully it's the right one. I'm pretty sure I bought this years ago when I dropped the pan the last time, but hadn't put it in and just found it, so we're gonna put it in. A lot of you guys are new, and a lot of you guys have not seen all of the 50 plus videos that I have on this car, so I'm going to take you back in time to when I first got the Cadillac running and driving and we had transmission issues. So it makes it in first and third gear so far. Let me show you. I'm in first, whining, shifts into second, third gear it starts again. So here's the pan and here's the pickup. I mean, there's some in the bottom. I don't know how much is bad. I don't know. Actually, see these big old chunkies right here? Some very large chunks in the bottom of this pan. I don't know. So as you can see on that video clip, it was making noise, it was whining. It was a brand new transmission. It turns out that really the only thing wrong with it was the throttle rod that controls the shifting. So if you look under here, you have this rod right here. So mine's been customized a little bit just because I have an Edelbrock and a spacer and blah blah blah. But the transmission fluid pressure is basically controlled by this rod. As you move the throttle up, it moves the rod, and then that is how the transmission shifts. There's no vacuum, nothing like that. It's all mechanical. It can be adjusted, as you can see right here, and that's the issue that I was having before. It was making all that noise because it wasn't adjusted correctly. So if you have one of these cars and it's making that noise, adjust your rod 5 turns that way and it'll probably act a little bit better. That's at least what I found on mine. So anyway, let's get this beast up in the air and let's poke around underneath and let me show you the underside of this car. Now I posted the other day with this car up on the lift. There are people that are really concerned about this lift handling this car. So this car weighs like 4,600 pounds. It's really not that heavy. And the lift capacity is 11,000. So it can lift 2 of these. So don't worry guys, it can handle the beast Cadillac. It can handle it, it's okay. It can actually handle my Suburban, which is much bigger than this. So yesterday afternoon I drove this car in, and my floors, yes, are dirty, but as you can see, that's from 8 hours of dripping. I know that it might be that, but I don't think it is. I think it's the pan, because I had it off and I put it back on and I didn't really think much of it. Let's get the flashlight and we can look around. So with the flashlight, you can see it's really only wet where the pan edge is. I guess it could be that. I don't think it's this, but we'll tighten these bolts anyway. But it's wet all the way around. The dipstick tube doesn't look like it's actively leaking. Maybe it is. But I don't have any grommets for that. But other than that, it's really just the pan. So we're gonna see if we can at least minimize the leaking with the new gasket. So this transmission has maybe 5,000 miles on it in the 7 years I've had it. So I'm planning on collecting all this transmission fluid because there's no way it's even close to needing replaced. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is beautiful, bright and red. Which is good. You don't want it smoky, smoked up. You don't want it all filthy or anything like that. So they say it's an 8-quart fill. It's just a lot. Do I have a hole in my drain pan? What's the point of having a drain pan if there's a hole in it? Well, that doesn't make me very happy. I better go get another one. Look at this. I have a hole in my drain pan. No idea how that happened. Alright, we got our preventative drip cardboard down. How much that's really going to help, I don't know. Lost. Okay. So you're the problem. Yep. We can at least clean that out, and that's good. Got the pan out. The seal did come off. It looks like it's broken right here. That might have been where it was leaking from, but I do remember I took the pan off to inspect it and then I just put it right back on because it was brand new. With that being said, I probably should have replaced it at that point. It doesn't look like it's really messed up anywhere else, but we'll take this out and we'll compare it to the old one. Alright, we got the pan off. Apparently it doesn't drain all the way on the car, so we're gonna have to dump it into here because my other one had a big hole in it. But this says it's an 8-quart drain and refill. We're pretty close to that. That pan is 4. My pan is about 3.5, so we're pretty close. So looking in the pan, I mean, it really looks the same as the last time I opened up one of these. Normal clutch material from being used, and no big chunks or anything like that. So again, that looks like a piece of gasket. You know, we're gonna clean it out and just, you know, put it all back together. Pretty normal routine kind of stuff. It's kind of weird doing maintenance on a car instead of, you know, fixing it from the dead or trying to make it work. Yeah, that was a piece of gasket. That's weird. That probably happened, I don't know, when I took it apart. But here's the new one, which I believe it fits like that. I believe that's how that goes. Something interesting is here's the gasket that came off of the pan. It's just a little bit thinner. Doesn't look like it's made of the same stuff. This is actually a Felpro. Pretty sure this gasket was from the rebuild kit from the dude that rebuilt it. And it looks more like a cork. It's not cork, but it's definitely fiber. I think this will work just a little bit better. We'll clean this out a little bit with some brake clean. Get it nice and clean inside of there. And we'll put the gasket on and put it back up. And also clean off this bottom side as well. I'm going to take off these magnets. I don't feel like this car needs them. I put them on there because I was worried about the transmission eating itself, but they didn't really collect anything, so we'll take them off. Put them on the wall. Yeah, I remember when I painted this all those years ago, it was beautiful. Still pretty good, but this kind of stuff, especially if it gets leaked on, you really can't ever get it perfect. But I'm glad to put a drain in there. One last thing you can check is make sure none of the holes have been wallowed out. I mean, basically you take a straight edge and you can look at them. If there's any kind of light you can see in between it, the holes have pooched out a little bit. These ones look good. I'm not worried about it. So, with a little thicker of a gasket, I think will be even better. Let's take this drain off. And this filter off. Looks like there's two different ways that it attaches. Pulls out of that. Rolls out of that. Alright, so it goes like that. That goes back up in there. There's an O-ring in there. And it just kind of sits just like that. Looking at it, I mean, there is some crud on the outside, which is to be expected. We're going to clean that all out with brake clean and put it right back in. I think it's awesome, these metal screen ones you can just reuse and reuse and reuse. You don't need to buy anything. So, slide that in. Slide that piece in. And that piece goes up into here. There you go. That's it. It just kind of just chills just like that. Remember, we want to put the drain in the back. Alright, before I put the beast on the ground, I kind of want to do a once over from basically back to front, showing you a couple things that I love about this car, and then, you know, maybe some things that do need to be addressed. So The first thing that I really like is just how rust-free this car actually is. There actually is quite a bit of factory undercoating still left. So all you guys up in the Northeast, I'm sorry that your states have to salt the roads and everything, but I feel like this car would have disappeared. Driven some winters, like up in New York State or whatever. But the only real rust here in the back is the very, very rear trunk brace, but that's super normal. I mean, even the trunk floor above it is really nice. It's just the brace. Is it enough for me to do anything about it? Probably not. I mean, the spare tire tub's almost perfect. The gas tank that I painted years and years ago is actually holding up really well. But like even my bumper ends for the most part look really, really good. I do like that. Now moving on to the diff. These leaf springs I feel like are getting a little tired. Problem is new ones are like, I think it's like $500 or $600 for a set of new ones. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I know I probably should replace these bushings on the end, but it is what it is. The diff, I checked the diff fluid earlier, it's still good. It looks like I'm having a little bit of a leak out here. I don't think that's brakes. I think that's more of a axle seal. Shocks are doing good. Moving on to here, I actually did have a differential leak around this seal right here, where the gear housing actually goes into the rear end. And I was able to seal it up just by tightening these bolts down. Definitely maybe a little bit more leaking, but well, it's good enough for now. But I mean, the rear floors in this car are basically perfect. And that's crazy awesome. Original exhaust, all the way resonators, I guess mufflers they would be. There's only one set. And then there's the engine and transmission. A couple little things that I'm going to address are up here. One is I have a tie rod that's a little bit loose. I'll have to look at that later, but I have done tie rod ends. What else did I do? End links for the sway bar, that kind of thing. There's my shims for the lower the sway bar so the radiator could fit. But yeah, everything up here is looking good. Again, not restored, never gonna restore it. It's gonna look like this for the rest of its life. I don't understand why people take all that time to make the bottom of their car look pretty. Nobody's ever gonna see it. But anyway, that's a different discussion for a different day. So let's get this car on the ground. Let's fill her back up, and then start it up and get it to idle and get it hot, and then top her off. This is why you always use a funnel with a screen. You see all that crap in there? Yep. Always filter transmission fluid. Alright, let's put the battery back up and see what she wants to do. I just drove it yesterday, so it should have gas and everything in it. Things are gonna be easy, and then you get a big, huge puddle like that. So it's leaking from somewhere. Let's put it back up in there. I don't understand. Got a leak from there. Got a leak from the front. I don't understand. I'm gonna have to take it all freaking apart again. That's what I get for making a video. Stuff that doesn't work. So this is what I get for recommending to do something and then not doing it. That's exactly what happened. So I checked like 1 or 2 spots on this pan, make sure they were straight, and they were. But if you look back in the video, right here on this side, and then this corner is where it was leaking. The rest was fine. And if you look, like right here, that looks just fine. You come over here, you see that giant gap? It's only right there. So I need to straighten out this pan lip is basically what I need to do. Why this corner was leaking, I don't know, but I mean, it's a little bit, but not much. But maybe just enough. Yeah, just enough. Just enough that the gasket isn't thick enough, and guess what? That happened. When necessity calls, what do? You go out to your parts yard and you find something to make a tool. So this used to be a jack handle. Pretty typical one. It's pretty crappy. Most people want nicer ones. Anyway, I cut the end off of it and it makes a perfect, basically, piece of strong metal that I can put on this rail and pound down that lip flat again. And it's thin enough that it should go in between where any of the raised spots are, except for maybe right there. But anyway, you can see I'm just going to pound everything flat, everything straight, and put it back on the car and see what it does. So here's another representation of what's going on. You can see right there. Do you see how much higher that pan is than the rest of it right here? That's where the fluid was leaking out for the most part. So this is basically what I've been doing. I found it easier to hold it with a vice grip, but you take your left hand and you hold this, and then you take your right hand with the hammer and then hammer everything down a little bit as you go. And you can see it's not perfect, but it's much flatter than it was. Flat enough that we're going to put it on the car and see if it works. Second time's a charm, right? Alright, moment of truth. Did it work? Let's check out underneath the car. There you go. No drips, no leaks. The engine is a different story, but we'll get to that later. I just wanted the transmission to stop. So there you guys go. We have a video on the Cadillac. Everybody's been asking for it, and there it is. So coming up soon, Corvette videos, shop tour videos, and what I really want to do is I want to get back into the, hey, this car hasn't been on the road for 40-something years. Let's get it back driving. Haven't chosen what project that will be, but if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you can kind of get a sneak peek at basically what's coming. So down below, leave a comment, leave a like, follow all my socials, and I will see you guys on the next video. We'll end this video with Chopstick. Hi, buddy. What are you doing over there with Noodle, huh? What are you doing? Can you sit down? Good boy. Are you a good boy? Say hi to the people, Floppert. That's all you get.